Yes, you started. Good evening, all.
Happy evening to all of you. Thank you for choosing to be amidst us. We value your time and presence for today's virtual CPE meeting on investment trends in startup, ecosystem, and opportunities. We apologize for the delayed start due to some technical glitches. We have with us Sri Sai Ranganathan. On behalf of SIRC of ICAI and CAK Jalapati sir, past chairman, and CAS Panaraj sir, vice chairman of SIRC, I welcome you to today's CPE meeting, sir. Thank you for joining with us today. We will start today's proceedings with the invocation of ICAI motto song.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. May I now request CA Panaraj, yes, Vice Chairman SIRC of ICAI, to formally welcome the delegates who are virtually present for today's CPE meeting. Over to Panaraj, sir.
Good evening, all. And it is my pleasure to be here today in the absence of our chairman, Sri Chinnamastan Talkaila, on account of some other engagement, to welcome all of you to this webinar on investment trends in startup ecosystem and opportunities. And the speaker for the day is our Sai Ranganathan. He is a TN startup. And I warmly welcome you, Sai Ranganathan sir, for this one, for the presentation. And I also welcome my good friend and past chairman of SIRC, immediate past chairman, CAK Jalapati, who has joined virtually from Coimbatore. A warm welcome to you, sir. And I also welcome all the delegates who have been here to participate in this, the one and only and the most happening area of economic activity, the startup for today. And we are sorry for the technical glitches for almost 10 minutes plus, which we should have started at 5. And I request all of you to apologize us. And I take this opportunity to welcome you all once again and request immediate past chairman, Sri Jalapati sir, to introduce the speaker as well as to give his opening remarks on this program. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think after a long time, as I am immediate past chairman, and when I was the chairman, Panaraj sir was secretary. So we are virtually present here. Thank you so much. Very respected Vice Chairman of SIRC, Panaraj sir, and speaker of this evening through Sai Ranganathan, AVP TN Startup, senior members, office team, Mr. Raghuman and friends, senior members. Very good evening to all of you. At the outset, I am extremely happy to participate in this excellent program organized by SIRC of ICAI on a very significant and current topic of interest, the investment trends in startup ecosystem and opportunities, which is very important for startups and more so for professionals like ours. I therefore compliment the chairman of SIRC and his entire team for arranging the meeting with an eminent personality in the field of startup. I also thank the SIRC for giving me an opportunity to coordinate with the Tamil Nadu government startup for this excellent program for the benefit of members and startup ecosystem. I join with all of you to express our sincere thanks to the speaker for sparing his valuable time to share his extensive experience in the field of startup ecosystem and to explain to this august audience of the elite CA professional fraternity participating in this virtual program the important features of the subject of today's discussion. Sir, speaker, sir, as well, you are aware that the chartered accountants play a very, very important role in offering expert guidance to the clients, not only of the compliance procedure as is required by various regulators, but also act as a business advisors when the startup business has become an emerging area for the new entrepreneurs. We chartered accountants have a duty to guide and handhold our clients who require our services in this specified and related sector. I request the members to actively participate in this great session to make an enlightening evening of expert learning and enhancement of knowledge. The startup TN has been rendering exemplary service to the innovators and the Tamil Nadu startups. Today's speaker has been instrumental in bringing newer business ventures to user in the new era of business development and creating numerous job opportunities to the younger generation. It is therefore the great opportunity for us to hear from the speaker. I am sure through his expert knowledge, we will be enlightened on many facets of startup sector. Sir, your address would also help us to have broader understanding of this emerging sector and to offer our services added with our expertise in the field of ours to the clients who look forward to more exposures and planning to venture into the field of startups. We thank you once again for being with us today. As a coordinator, I welcome you all to this excellent program. I am sure you will have the satisfaction of having spent this evening very usefully. Today's speaker has 14 years of experience in the startup ecosystem, currently serving as the Assistant Vice President in Tamil Nadu Startup Innovation Mission, handling partnership, market access, investor connect programs with the venture capital funds. He has great experience as CEO of NDBI, the National Design Business Incubator. He was AGM in NABARD Financial Services. He previously associated with the Can Bank Venture Capital Fund and the Startup Exceeds Ventures, which is focused on investing in early stages of startup, which is promoted by industry veterans of the IT industry. He previously associated with Mafai Strategy, which was focused in the strategy consulting for SMEs and startup. He was also the part of 2 startups management team in e-commerce and HR services space. With these few words, I have a great pleasure to introduce through Sai Ranganathan, Assistant Vice President, TN Startup with this elite gathering. Thank you so much for this great opportunity. Thank you.
Jalapati sir, I want to add one thing. It's a coincidence that we have a Panara sir, who is the chairman of MSME and Startup Committee of SIRC of ICAI.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to Sai Ranganathan sir.
Thank you, Jalapati sir, and thank you, Paranat sir, and thank you all members of ICAI and SIRC for giving me this opportunity to address all your members. It's a great honor to be part of this session today and to discuss about the investment trends in the startup ecosystem. I really take this opportunity to interact with all of you to understand also how the industry works, because we are all veterans who have been advising a lot of industry defining MSMEs in this space. So let me start and I'll just share my screen. Sir, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So to quickly start with, I think today most of the news that you see today, both in Economic Times as well as CNBC TV 18 or Bloomberg or any of the channels, you will see a lot of news covering today's startups. It's about how startups have raised funds despite the funding winter. There's a new concept of this funding winter, which has recently been widely discussed due to the recessionary trends in the whole industry. So startups today play a very major role in supporting economy in terms of jobs as well as attracting the venture capital funding as well as the FDI also. So today all states are very keen in setting up a strong startup ecosystem in their states to create not just jobs. They want to create an entrepreneur culture in the minds of the today's students as well as working professionals. So there are separate programs which are catered to these kind of areas. To start with, we will understand how the funding trend works in the ecosystem. So in the last 2 years, it's been a significant year because we have seen significant venture capital funding coming into the Indian startup ecosystem. Even though last year was a little bit lesser when compared to the 2021. 2021 was actually the year of boom for startups. If you see, this is actually a data which talks about the month-on-month venture capital funding attracted by various startups in the year 2022. We started the year January 2022 with $4.57 billion of funding on a monthly basis, which is actually a huge, I could call for a huge celebration because it is directly into the equity of startups and it's only into the startups. It's not even private equity money, which is coming into your listed entities as well as other bigger companies. So there's been a dip slowly. The reason again has to various reasons of inflation in both in US as well as your war crisis which is happening in Russia, which is stimulated by Russia, and also to various other factors which are beyond our control. The FIIs as well as the investors who are pumping into the money into startup ecosystem have been slowly in the wait and watch mode and have slowly decreased as the months come by. So we were $35 billion initially in the year of 2021, and 2022 came down to $27 billion. Even though on a normal term, it is considered a good funding, but still there were challenges in terms of attracting because two reasons. We have a stronger domestic economy. Our domestic DIIs have strongly been investing into stocks. They have also invested into stocks of new age companies which have gone for IPO. They can be Paytm, they can be Zomato, which had a very successful listing. It can be other new age companies which like Policy Bazaar also, which got listed. Even though companies' share values have changed post the listing, which is beyond our control, there are several reasons to celebrate for us because these companies all had a very good response in the IPO placements. Maybe Paytm had an issue with its $1 billion IPO. The rest other IPOs were really doing very well. So this is the current trend which is happening in the ecosystem where in 2021, we were seeing at least $5 to $6 billion of investment regularly coming into the startup ecosystem. Now to talk about the specific opportunities which are available in the startup ecosystem. Despite the funding issues which the startup ecosystem faces, there's a greater opportunity which has been created called D2C category, which has been making huge waves in the startup ecosystem for the past 2 years, I would say. So this D2C industry is considered to be a $100 billion industry by 2026. So this industry is expected to create many solid 100 crore revenue companies in the coming years because of two reasons. One, it's a D2C is defined as one model where you can directly sell your product or service to a customer without any intermediary. directly. So your chances of understanding what a customer requires is far more better than when you go through a distributor model. Second, your chances of breaking even is also more higher because you don't have an intermediary who charges you commission amount. And here you directly understand what your customer requires. Plus, investors today prefer this kind of model to be a more sustainable model. So this a real game-changing event that our startups, MSMEs should really capitalize. This is where we wanted our CA members to really make use of this opportunity and suggest your SMEs and food product companies, which include apparels, food product, consumer products, food and agri, all of them to utilize this whole opportunity. So one case study that we can straight away get into is that's a company called Juicy Chemistry in Coimbatore, which actually in the peak of lockdown and they managed to raise actually $6.3 million from Verily Invest, which is actually Belgium's one of the biggest funds. And they've also managed to raise subsequent rounds. This is actually a bootstrapped company, which is into your consumer care segment. So their products are really good, preferred both by Indians as well as overseas Indians, as well as by other countries' people. They are really known for their quality, for their quality. Their products don't have actually any of the toxic elements which other consumer products have. So there are a lot of good certifications. So these people have really understood what their customer insights are and have tried to crack it. So what I would suggest is please look into the model of Juicy Chemistry. There are many, I'm sure there are many clients of yours who might be in the same segment or different segment, but that's a wonderful opportunity for your people, for your clients to actually raise funds and then scale their business and build solid 100 crore companies in this space. This is actually a company promoted by husband and wife who actually were running a petroleum industry before they started this. When they started looking for consumer products in the market, they found that many of their products have toxic elements. So they started looking for alternatives. So this is actually a bootstrapped venture, which was started in Coimbatore in their kitchen. Slowly, they had scaled their business and then started scaling their business and building a brands. And then they approached VCs and then they were able to raise subsequent funds. Spring Venture Capital, which is based in Bangalore, has also invested into them. So these guys are right now celebrated as D2C industry veterans among the international communities itself. So they, in fact, they have ranked among the top 10 categories in the recent US Story top 100 D2C brands in the country. So that's a lot of credentials adding to the D2C, to the Juicy Chemistry brand actually. This has inspired many brands to also to come in this space. So other prominent investments, I'm sure all of you must be aware of Licious, Mama Earth, Country Delight, Boat, Bewakoof, Plum. Plum is also one, little startup which directly competes with Juicy Chemistry. Then you've got Country Delight, which is your D2C milk brand, which is available in Karnataka, Chennai, Bangalore, Chennai, and other states also. And Noise is a popular earphone brand, which actually imports your earphones, quality earphones, and then supplies it to various distributors as well as to various your online e-commerces. It's mostly a Gen Z brand right now, mostly preferred by today's youngsters. Licious is one of the category-defining startups in its space. So we have also got an interesting startup in Chennai, which is actually called Tender Cuts, which is really doing very well, and it's really got to a interesting segment in the food space. Mama Earth, again, known for its good quality for the children, again promoted by co-founders who are husband and wife, who run a very bootstrapped company, and a lot of investors have invested significant amount of venture capital funding into this. Mama Earth is also going for an IPO very soon. Boat, again, in the earphone segment, which is actually following a similar model of Noise, but with certain strategy changes. So Bewakoof is a brand where Aditya Birla has recently invested into it. It's an online apparel brand, which is scaling significantly in the days to come. So there are many deals which are happening in the D2C space. These are just few because these are the prominent ones. Recently, Ayurveda Experience had raised 50 crores of funding from Aniket Capital. Aniket Capital, which is actually a Chennai and Delhi-based VC fund who actually invests in real category-defining startups. So there's a lot of significant opportunities coming in this area. Tamil Nadu is home not just to juicy chemistry. We have got Vilva, which is another interesting D2C brand. We have got Veg-Root. We have got reusable tender cuts, Agromalin and Aqua Connect. Aqua Connect is a company which is in the aquaculture stack space, which has recently raised 120 crores and trying to solve the problem of your fishermen and then giving the market access connect. So Veg-Root is also into food and fruits and vegetables D2C segment. So they have managed to raise funding from significant startup co-founders. Ipopay, which is one of the successful payment gateways from Chennai, which has recently raised $2.8 million from Coinbase Ventures, has invested into the co-founder has invested into Veg-Root. Ipopo is one of the successful payment gateways, which Tansim can proudly say, because we were one of the first Tanseed, they were one of the first Tanseed winners. And he managed to scale the company significantly. The uniqueness of the business model of Ipopay is that they directly interact with the customer, the merchants. And if you have any problems with your payment gateways, you can straight away call the customer care, and then they will resolve the whole payment issue in Tamil itself. And their focus is tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns. So they are really growing sustainably in a bootstrapped way. The whole idea is to support the merchant ecosystem in Tamil Nadu, and they are also getting into other states also. Ipopay is seen as a successful payment gateway companies from Tamil Nadu and successful fintech companies also. The co-founder has invested in a lot of interesting startups along with other startups with the co-founders of Dunzo in very interesting companies. So Reusable is also another interesting D2C brand which has recently got acquired. So these are just few interesting D2C startups which have significantly raised money and then managed to scale up also. Tendercats has raised 100 crores from the venture capital fund of NABARD. So its model is very unique. They are trying to provide a good quality the non-veg to consumers of Chennai, and they managed to scale the business also to other cities of Chennai. And they've also got into a recent division which actually collaborates with the local butchers and supplies quality fish and the other non-veg meats to the consumers. So there's one company which is going to be a real top class D2C company in this space. Next, if you look at the success stories of Chennai has real interesting success stories. Zoho, which is actually a unicorn right now. We are just looking into even though Zoho has not raised any venture capital funding from the outside venture capital funds, they're actually bootstrap built, but it's a successful unicorn which has got good revenues and really successfully scaling up business overseas also. So Zoho has also created other interesting startups in the Tamil Nadu startup ecosystem. Freshdesk, which has gone for IPO in Nasdaq, the co-founder, Mr. Girish Bhattacharya, was actually part of Zoho, and then he managed to start this company along with this other co-founder and have really built into a company. Today, Zoho's IPO is, a fantastic success in US. Even though despite now they're facing a few challenges in the Nasdaq IPO, they have managed to, they have very soon going for profits. Yesterday, the co-founder of Freshworks had reported an annual recurring revenue of $500 million, which is really a huge a milestone in today's period where a lot of startups, both listed in US, are really struggling to raise significant of revenues in the coming days. So they will very soon be going for profitability is what the co-founder of Freshworks has actually promised. So the other company, the interesting company that Chennai has is Waycool. Waycool is actually into the, again, B2B agri space. They've also got into consumer products recently in the batter as well as the cut fruit vegetables space, has managed to raise $95 million. It is third most valuable agri-tech company in India, in the whole Indian ecosystem. Where top 2 positions are taken by Ninja Kart and Fasal and other companies. They have significant investments from Lightrock as well as Lightbox. Chargebee is another interesting SaaS company. Chennai is always considered to be a SaaS focused city because we have got a lot of successful SaaS startups based in Chennai. So it's called the SaaS capital of India. Freshworks, Chargebee, and then Trinetra, a lot of significant people have come from Chennai in the SaaS space. So next we have got Unifor, which is an IIT Madras startup. where we have got significant investments from industry leaders like John Chambers, who's the Cisco ex-chairman. He is invested into this company, and he's taken this company global also. So the co-founder of this company, who was based in Chennai, who's an IIT alumni, has recently relocated to US, but he's got significant of his team based in Chennai. This is a company where Mr. Naga of Native Lead Ventures is also invested, and it's a very interesting company which is solving a very important problem of language translations. LifeCell is again an interesting company in the healthcare space, which actually is into your retaining your life cells. UB is again a very interesting fintech unicorn, which caters to your credit space and funding NBFCs, which is again headquartered in Chennai. So we have also got another few interesting companies in Chennai, which has actually been considered as unicorns. So Unicorn is a company which has got more than $1 billion of valuation, roughly more than 8,000 crores on date. So we have got a company called 5-Star Business, which is actually an NBFC based in Chennai, which has got presence almost with 250 plus branches pan India, where we've got significant investments coming from KKR, as well as TVS Capital, as well as Matrix Partners, gone for an IPO, and the IPO is well subscribed, and the stock has also been managed to grow significantly and maintain the success also. So this is a company which called itself startup, but the company was started before 35 years, but completely built. They managed to scale in the last 3 years. They hired professionals. They started expanding aggressively where there's a huge requirement for your SME financing, and then they have significant of investments. They have an asset under management of 6,500 crores. Now, if you look at Chennai has also produced successful IPO going companies. Even though Chennai is known for being conservative, but it has actually created a lot of interesting IPO companies in this space who are actually grown from startups to be listed companies. So Data Patterns, to start with, Data Patterns is a very interesting company in the defense space. Again, founded by an IITian who has got strong understanding about the defense systems and procurement and supplying to defense industries. So he has taken the company IPO, and the IPO is also very good success. So he is one great story that all of our SMEs can really learn from. That you might be running a fantastic SME company. That's significant value what the today market provides for real game-changing defense companies. Veranda Learning is an edutech company which is actually from the house of the same family which produced SSI and several other successful companies in the past. So they are industry leaders today in the edutech space, and they have also managed to acquire Race company, which is actually in the space of training for government jobs, especially bank POs, IAS, IPS, and other government jobs. So this company has gone for an IPO and it's well subscribed, and then they've really got good branch presence also because of their acquisition with Race. Latent View Analytics is a very interesting company started by IIM graduates who have been into the analytics space for the last 2 decades. So they have strong understanding of the whole analytics as well as the IT services ecosystem. Managed to build a strong product company. The biggest success was Latent View Analytics IPO. It was subscribed almost 235 or 250 times. A very successful IPO from Chennai. It's really doing very well right now. Go Fashion is also a very interesting story. It's actually an apparel brand based in Chennai who actually provides leggings. They are a very interesting model. They provide real good quality branded stuff for startups in the space. Sorry for the disturbance. So another company is Radiant Cash Services. So this again an interesting story where a retired army colonel, after getting retired from army, has started a interesting cash management services from Chennai and managed to do a successful 1,000 crore IPO very recently. So he's been celebrated in the cash management and private security services space. There, I'm sure a lot of you would have facility management services company, HR services company, cash management services company as your clients. There's a huge demand for startups in this area because these startups really scale very well and are less capex intensive. So there's a greater chance of success in this space again. There's another company which is actually going for IPO in the space, which is CLHR Services. So they are planning for a bigger 500 crore IPO in the coming days. So that's a real huge opportunity available for these companies in the space. There are other companies in the space which have already listed. Quest Corp, which is India's largest private employer, outbidding the Tatas, is actually a HR services and a facility management services company. They've acquired almost a dozen companies in various areas, both in business support services. It can be in facility management. It can be in IT staffing. It can be in the back office operations. They have also acquired the BPO division of Tatas, which was one of the largest domestic BPOs in the country. So there's huge opportunities available for services business also, both in the SME IPO space as well as the listed IPO space. So I would suggest all your members to actively look at SME IPOs also, as there's been real success in this space. 3 companies from Chennai have managed to do a successful SME IPO. Recently, one was a digital company, a digital studio, which was actually working in the digital gaming space, have recently gone for an IPO and managed to raise 40 crores. Another is basically a jewelry manufacturing company, which has really managed to raise around 30 crores. There is huge opportunity in both these areas. So I think today we need to encourage a lot of our clients to look at SME and the bigger IPOs in a very big way. Another company which is doing very well in this space is Star Health and Allied Insurance. I really want to talk a lot about this company because this is one of the India's largest health insurance company. So this company was started by Jagannathan, who was an insurance veteran, who was part of the insurance industry. He, after his retirement, along with his professional management team, started this along with the ETA group, with the investments from ETA group, and managed to get significant investments from Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, who was a celebrated stock market investor. The company was also significantly raised funds from Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, and stock is also been recently doing very well, and it continues to do very well. The company has recently filed its first quarter of 210 crores of profit so far after going IPO. They have a lot of plans to look at various segments. They have offices both in rural India as well as in the other bigger cities also, with 14,000 plus staff. So there are real quite interesting companies that we can look at Chennai from the investment ecosystem perspective. And we need to produce a lot of success stories from other tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns of Tamil Nadu. It can be Madurai, it can be Karur, it can be Chennai, it can be Chengalpet, it can be Tiruvallur. There are real success stories out there. I think today, if you have a solid business model with solid margins, today's investors are really willing to invest in the IPO and really support it in the long term, despite the recessionary trends and the slowdown which the economy is right now facing. So this is just a slide which talks about how these guys have managed to really, manage to improve their stock value despite these market slowdowns. The prices have actually appreciated. Okay. So this on the right side, you will be able to see most of the D2C brands, which are actually very prominent in today's market. And you on the left side, you have very big investors like Sequoia. Sequoia is the world's most celebrated venture capital fund. You can see this logo and the investments from them in most of the IPOs as well as in successful startups. Generally, if a Sequoia invests into a startup, it means it's a validation that the company is going to be really successful, even though recent news where it showed that a few of Sequoia companies had issues with companies like Go Mechanic, Bharat Pay, and all that. Most of their success stories globally as well as in India have been very big success stories that the industry celebrates and investors celebrate in a very big way. So they have managed to fund Purple, Mama Earth, Minimalist, Whole Truth, as well as Whole Truth is a very interesting segment that you should, startup that you should look at. Whole Truth is basically a very healthy snack brand started by a head HR of a financial services company who really wanted to provide good quality snacks to today's young children, because we have a lot of junk food in the market, which most of the doctors even don't suggest. So he really wanted to come up with a healthy snack brand which can really give a very good quality food for today's children. So this brand is mostly targeted at your the parents who are both working professionals. Both of them are working professionals, but looking for a healthy option. The Whole Truth is perfect for them. Then you have got an interesting coffee brand like Rage Coffee, which is very popular in the market. Venture Catalyst actually is India's largest VC fund platform, which is managed to invest in significant startup investments. They are the India's largest investor as of now in startups. Tax is very successful company in this space again. Then DSG is actually a complete D2C focused VC fund, which is invested in real successful brands of this country. So one of the two interesting startups in this area, where they've invested is Super Bottoms and Power Gummies. Super Bottoms is actually a very interesting company, which is started by an ex-IBM vice president who actually came back to India, left the IBM job and started. The company is based in Bangalore. So the company produces interesting bottom wear and then kids apparel space, very customized and very interesting stuff. They sell mostly their own D2C website as well as in the e-commerce also. Our Gummies is again a snack brand that most of us are aware. Titan Capital is another interesting investor that we should look at. So Titan Capital is actually promoted by the co-founders of Snapdeal. Snapdeal is one of the most successful e-commerce startup companies from the early stages of which compete with Flipkart. So the co-founders have actually invested in a lot of interesting startups from Titan Capital. The whole Snapdeal is also a very interesting story. So the co-founders of Snapdeal actually were based in US. They were working with real big brands in US, very big industry-leading technology companies. So they wanted their visa actually got expired and they had to relocate to India. So they did not want to work for anyone. So they had started this. They had built a very interesting business model, and they wanted to come out with an e-commerce brand, which can actually be a very good option for people who are looking at e-commerce today. So that's how Snapdeal got started up, and then Ratan Tata had invested into Snapdeal. It's still a very successful company, which is really self-sustainable in nature. Fireside Ventures is another VC fund based in Bangalore, which is focused on again funding D2C companies in this space. Started by a HUL veteran who had invested in real interesting companies. So in the area of D2C. So they managed to invest in real interesting companies which are game changing in this space. So they've invested in the Sleep company, which is most popular mattresses brand. So the other Bloom Mattress, Aniket, and India Quotient, Sama Kepler are again D2C focused industry leaders in this space. The main reason why we wanted to do this session with the members of ICAI and SIRC is that we wanted you are actually our real angels for us, because you actually work closely with startups and MSMEs. You advise them on their growth strategies, on how to maintain their balance sheets. So we are really keen on being associated with you, because we want a lot of your clients to go for significant funding. So we have recently started an initiative called TAN Fund Initiative. The TAN Fund is an initiative where we brought together all your interesting VC funds together to invest in startups as well as MSMEs. So this fund will basically be basically an enabler for VCs to invest into Tamil Nadu startup ecosystem. So this will cater to both startups, MSMEs, growth stage companies, as well as family business also. So for this purpose, we have tied up with Chirati Ventures, which was erstwhile called as IDG Ventures, led by Mr. Sudhir Sethi, who is actually an ex-Wipro Titan, who's actually an ex-Wipro veteran, who's got real solid understanding about the startup ecosystem. Chirati Ventures invests in SaaS, B2B software, B2C software, consumer internet, a lot of space, a lot of deep tech companies also. So SIDBI Venture Capital, SIDBI Venture Capital is the VC division of the SIDBI. So they have got a fund called Abare Sitare Fund, which invests in export focused companies. There are other funds they have floated, which have been successfully invested also. So recently they have been looking at export focused companies which are looking for growth capital. In case if you have, if you get to know startups, I mean, if you have startups which have significant exports, please do connect them to us. We'll be happy to connect to SIDBI Venture Capital. We'll very soon be connecting a session with the SIDBI Ventures team also. We are in talks with them. NAB Ventures is the venture capital division of NABARD. So they've done significant investments in the past in the food and agri space. They're investors in the Chennai-based Tender Cuts as well as several interesting brands. Aniket is a 1,500 crore VC fund based out of Chennai and Delhi. So they have really managed to invest in 54 investments this year alone. So really aggressively investing in companies. They also provide venture debt. We have also onboarded Aniket as an VC fund to invest in startups. There's a new area which we wanted to also share. So startups and MSMEs and growth stage companies need not always have to dilute their equity to raise funds. A new mechanism is evolving where startups can raise funds through venture debt. As well as there's a new mechanism called revenue-based financing. So revenue-based financing is a very interesting concept. It is supporting really the companies in food and food and agri, D2C, your apparel space, e-commerce, several areas. The focus is that they look for companies which have solid revenues coming month on month or season focused. So the biggest advantage of revenue-based financing is you do not have to provide them any collateral. You do not have to have regular revenues. You do not have to give them equity stake. You do not have to make them part of your board, and then you do not have to completely take any approvals for any significant decisions taken in the company. So this has really become a boon for D2C as well as a lot of your new age economy companies. So mostly around 550 plus startups have managed to raise funds from the 4 RBF platforms, which is shown in the screen. The largest of among them is Club. Club is based in Bangalore. So they invest in real game-changing startups which have significant revenues. Started by Ishita Verma and another veteran from the VC industry. So they can invest somewhere between 1 CR to 50 CR in real interesting companies. We have tied up with them. We will very soon be hosting a session at Club. So if there's any of your clients who really want to scale their business but don't want to dilute or provide any collateral, at the same time wants to keep the company private, it can be a proprietorship company, it can be a partnership company, it can be a LLP. So I think revenue-based financing is the best area. Get Advantage is another company based in Mumbai, similarly into the revenue-based financing area. Caspian Debt is again a very interesting company focused in the ESG space, the environmental, social, and governance. So they look at companies which not only just have profits, which are also self-sustainable and which have a positive, impact in the ecosystem. It can be about supporting women entrepreneurs. It can be about creating rural jobs. It can be about supporting the rural ecosystem. Caspian, really looks at them. So we have also onboarded them as a venture debt fund. So in case you're looking at raising debt, if you run a social friendly business, we are very happy to do as connect you to Caspian Debt. Credex is another revenue-based financing platform. We are in talks with some more revenue-based financing to support startups in the areas of D2C, subscription services, apps, food and beverages, brands, personal care segment and all. So this is our the TAN Fund, the Investor Connect initiative that I was talking about. So now we would like to see what actually VCs look for while investing. So that's where we wanted to really focus today to get most of your companies investment ready before reaching out to them. First, I think we need to understand that all VCs invest in all companies. Each venture capital fund will have an investment theme. So, for example, if you take the company, if there is DST Capital, DST Consumer Care companies, they invest only in D2C focused companies. It can be in the areas of apparel, it can be in the area of food and agri, it can be fintech or any of these things, but D2C focused. So while identifying the investor, we need to understand first the investment theme of where the investor is willing to invest. So that is the first first thing that you need to look for while fundraising. So this is where our investor connect programs, what we do is we specifically mention the categories that the VC fund is looking to invest, and we call for startup proposals and pitch decks which might actually fit the criteria of the VC funds. Second is you need to talk about what is really unique with your company, what is the problem that you're trying to solve. You need to say, how are you different from the other companies in this space? Are you another Me Too company, or are you really unique? You need to really, explain this very deep in your pitch deck when you are mentioning this. So they also look at what is the market size that you're trying to address. How large is the market? Are you trying to reach out to a 10,000 crore industry, or are trying to address a 50,000 crore industry? Or are you trying to, what is industry size that it grows year on year? Who are your competitors? What is their fundraising strategies? How is the funding that they've raised in the balance sheet? How is it going to help them? How long will the company long last without raising funds? So there are several of these things that you need to mention in the pitch deck while raising funds. Pitch deck is basically about you are presenting yourself to the investor about with your pluses about how you understand the market. So you need to be more detail focused in all these areas. So again, you need to talk about the business potential. How are you different from the existing players who are your competitors? And then what are the entry barriers? For example, there might be areas where which might accommodate probably 5 or 6 companies. So those are kind of companies which have a premium valuation. Are you one among 5th or 6th or 3rd player in that segment? If yes, please do mention that. And how fast have you been growing in the last 5 to 10 years? In case if you have been long started before 10 years itself, please also do mention that in your pitch deck. So these are all crucial points that an investor looks while investing in any startup. So your pitch deck is basically you are giving them what is the rationale why they should invest in you. So this is mostly a 15-slide presentation where you should be able to convince an investor about, hey, look, I am actually a person who understands the space very well. I have a professional team in place. And these are all the reasons why you need to invest in me. Because a VC fund normally gets around 1,000 to 2,000 proposals every year on year. So they mostly go in through IPO. I mean, all these pitch decks. So you pitch deck must be more focused to help them shortlist these things. So then if you look at the key components of the pitch deck while raising funds is that you need to talk about your team. For example, your team should have a strong understanding about the industry. Either they should have worked in this industry or they should have certain strong industry exposure. Or they should have worked in real big MNCs which give them this exposure. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? How is your technology superior when compared to others? Is it same or is it going to be a really unique one? Do you have a patent for it? Do you have a profitable business model? Or are you going to be profitable? If yes, when are you going to be profitable? What is the market size? Again, competitive landscape about you're talking about who are the competitors, what are their products best? Your current financials as well as the future 5 years projections. Current equity structure has to be mentioned. What is the cap table? I mean, you have your company who are holding significant stakes into the company. And if you have raised funds from friends and family, please also do mention that. And the most important segment, what an investor always looks for is, you need to be clear about how you are going to give him a venture capital fund an exit. So the exit can happen via 4 ways. It can happen via a successful IPO, which can be a national IPO or a SME IPO. That's what is an expected one, ideally, but you cannot always expect an IPO. It depends on market conditions. Second option is doing a secondary share sale to another VC fund. For example, I am actually, Chirati Ventures, I hold 3 to 5% in a startup. I want to exit. If the company has grown significantly, we will attract a lot of investor interest from other VC funds. So are we willing to sell to another VC fund is what they will look for. So can you arrange other secondary share sale is what they will really look for. Third option is, are you looking at raising significant funds from strategic investors who are probably from US space or maybe adjacent area, but have strong presence globally. Really, we want to invest in you because of 2 reasons. You are in India, which is a strategic location today, which is expected to be the growth engine in the future days to come. So they want to understand your market and they want to see this as a strategic investment. They invest in you. The fourth option is 100% mergers and acquisitions. They want to, I mean, you should tell them that. This is the last option which most co-founders don't prefer, because this is an option where you'll have to sell the company to a strategic investor for various reasons. There are many examples that startups have done this also in the market. One big example can be Ampere Motors, which was actually based in Coimbatore again. So they managed to raise funds from Ratan Tata and Forum Synergies and several other investors. So they managed to scale the company, had a real strong presence. Ampere is a very strong brand. So they wanted really quickly to become a pan-India brand and scale. So what they did was, the promoter of the company, run by a very exemplary entrepreneur, Mrs. Hemlata Annamalai, I had a very interesting offer from the Crompton Greaves. So right now the company has acquired Ampere Motors, and then you can see the company present now globally also, everywhere. So this is a real big success story today that they managed to sustain, and they're really doing very well. There are lots of mergers and acquisitions which have happened in the startup space, where you have a good product, when you have a good team, you really want to go global. There are a lot of interesting mergers and acquisitions that you'll get. So you will have to mention the names of certain companies in the pitch deck, that I have these 4 or 5 options that we can look at post 5 years or 3 years from the investment, that they might give you a real exit to the venture capital investors who have invested in the startup. So the exit slide is very important. It shows how you understand the industry, how you understand the venture capital ecosystem. Most important thing that an investor always looks at is, how does he get an exit? Is it going to be any of these 4 values? So and also at what value, you can also roughly say that we might give you a 10x exit or a 50x exit. It shows your confidence and your strong understanding and the confidence that you have in the company. So this year we have got close to more than 100 unicorns being created, and e-commerce and D2C dominate this space after your fintech and SaaS. I mean, it's e-commerce which has produced many leaders here. It can be Cars24, DealShare, Room, FirstCry, Mamaearth, IndiaMad, Infra.market. All these are great success stories. SaaS is also one industry segment which has really produced a lot of unicorns today. Fintech used to be the industry leader in the space. Right now, it's overtaken by e-commerce and the fintech guys. So this is that's the reason why we need to suggest a lot of our SMEs who are actually in the segment of D2C. I mean, they might not know that they are doing D2C, but they might be in the D2C business only. So we have to suggest them to go for the D2C model. Today, there are a lot of interesting digital companies which can help your clients go digital within a day or 2 or maximum 2 weeks. So the digital companies have a higher valuation in the market when compared with brick and mortar companies. So I would suggest your companies, startups, always to look at going digital. There are many digital enablers in today's market. It can be Seller Rocket, it can be Business on Board, it can be Go Quick, which can actually help your startups and growth stage companies go digital. Please look at them also. I think today you are basically strategic advisors for all of your clients. So you don't only advise them on financial issues, you also advise them on business and technology issues. So once you have an understanding of this whole ecosystem, how it works, I think you can play a role of a strategic consultant for them, and then help them grow the company and take it to next level and take it to IPOs. That's where real support comes for these guys to scale it up. So this is the real definition of D2C that I wanted to share with all of you. So it's actually very simple. You don't want any distribution to have among intermediaries, and you want to sell your products directly to customers. Is what D2C stands about. Now I would like to share you the categories which are available in the in the D2C space. So beauty and personal care segment has produced many interesting players in this space, which is again MyGlam. MyGlam is a very interesting story because this is a story of how Goliath wins the war. Goliath was the huge story where you see a big conglomerate actually buying out D2C brands. But in D2C case, it's actually the reverse. MyGlam is actually a D2C brand, which really is in talks with Raymond's to acquire the FMCG division of Raymond's for around 700 to 800 crores. So MyGlam has grown its company, business in e-commerce, content, as well as D2C space, and raised significant funding in such a way that they want to really, really take this company as a FMCG conglomerate, so that they're acquiring the business assets of Raymond's today. Consumer electronics is another area that we saw. Food and beverage, home decor, fashion accessories. Fashion accessories has got real interesting space that we must all really be aware. So Flatheads is a very popular company. I am sure all of you must have seen it in Shark Tank, where the promoter had pitched to the Shark Tank co-founders, and his story was widely covered in social media. So that it's a real successful story. I mean, a story where who managed to build a D2C brand but had issues in running the company. So he came to Shark Tank for raising funds. So one of the Shark Tank, the whole jury was also interested in providing a job to him. So that's the passion how today's startups have towards their business. So he really thanked the jury of Shark Tank for giving him a job, and he politely neglected the offer, saying that he is more passionate about running his company. So that's a very interesting thing. If you have not watched that Shark Tank episode, I would suggest you to please watch that episode. So Wakefit is one of the successful startups in the again furniture home decor space, which is actually a profitable D2C company. They have really cracked this segment in a very big way, and it's a wonderful brand. A lot of people have positively talked about that. So there are, you might have a lot of your clients who are in home decor and furniture space. Please suggest them the case study of Wakefit. It's a very interesting case study that they can look at, and they can look at scaling this business. This whole home decor has attracted and created many interesting D2C companies. So hope you had a small support from Startup TN towards about how fundraising ecosystem works in Startup TN. So if any of your clients are really looking for funds, please do reach out to us. We will be very glad to support them through the Investor Connect program of Startup TN. So we have onboarded almost significant VC funds who can invest into various segments. You can be SaaS, it can be consumer products, it can be deep tech, it can be cybersecurity, it can be IoT, it can be food and agri, it can be agri-tech. We can really help you, raise funds. If there are any questions, happy to take it. So I would suggest all members to also actively follow our social media handles, which can be our Twitter and LinkedIn, where we constantly post these kind of investor connect events, as well as so that you can apply directly through that. We have done many investor connect events. We are also planning to do. We have also floated a few events recently also. We have floated an Investor Connect program with Prime Venture Partners. See, Prime Venture Partners is a very interesting fund. It's usually the mostly first institutional VC in any startup investments. So the fund is actually run by a very professional team by Mr. Sanjay and Mr. Acharya. So Sanjay comes from a very interesting background, who was actually part of the founding team of Aadhaar. who's really passionate about fintech investments. The startups actually, the fund is actually looking to invest in so the electric vehicles, B2B SaaS, enterprise software, and then logistics, and the other deep tech areas also. So I would suggest all of your members to suggest your clients to please go through. If they fall under any of these categories, please also apply to it.
Thank you, sir. Sir, maybe
Sir,
few questions.
Yes,
Raghuman,
sir.
just to explain the question.
Yeah. There is a question from one of the attendees. He's asking what is the normal return period ROIs VCs are expecting?
Sir, there is no fixed amount as such, sir. So it all depends on the valuation of the company. And various other parameters like revenue, are they profitable, are they not profitable? So when can they give us an exit? So it's mostly, they look for decent returns in terms of at least more than 2x. So some of the returns have even provided 100x, 50x. So it varies. So it's not one standard number that they look at, giving like it's 8%, 10%, 15%, 20% as such. It varies actually. They're looking at significant exit opportunity because this is a huge bigger opportunity, right? It's not just another opportunity where you invest in bank and you get a significant returns. So it's a risk that they take. Most of the investors have also lost significant of their money investing in startups. So generally the process goes like this, that a VC fund might invest in 15 to 20 companies. So the 2 or 3 investments might give them the great returns and the other companies might fold up. So it is the other way also. So it is tough to predict, right, generally. So they actually go through, they submit pitch decks, and there's a due diligence team which goes into this. We discuss about valuation, then term sheet is issued, and then this is where the share value is all discussed.
Thank you very much, sir.
One more question. Yeah, Raghuman, one more question.
What is the question you want to ask, Mr. Taufik? Is there any specific question?
One more question, sir. There is a company which has a similar product to that of juicy chemistry, but operating at a very small level. How do you suggest to scale it up?
Sir, so that's again very interesting company. So what we would suggest is 2 things. First, they need to first raise the revenues of the company significantly to at least 50 lakhs a month or 1 CR a month. So that is going to happen only by being very strong digitally. So they can look initially, scale the company to at least 5 lakhs of revenue, and then look at raising revenue-based financing, and then they can come to us. We can suggest them to write RBF, and then help them raise revenue-based financing. After scaling the company through revenue-based financing, and the company reaches a significant revenue, I think we can suggest them to pitch to venture capital funds. But there's most of these companies in this area have an easy opportunity to scale their business very well.
Sir, one more question. Can you please touch upon startup valuation?
Startup valuation is today a very interesting topic actually. So it's gone. 2021 was actually the bigger boom, and 2022 was a mixed year. Right now, it has really got its own flavor. So it varies from investor to investor, and it varies from companies. So valuation is mostly a very sensitive area, which I think you need to have both the investor as well as the co-founder come to a conclusion about the practical valuation of the company, freeze on it, and then look at, sir, today valuation is second. Whatever it is, you need to look at really what value the investor brings on board. That's where you need to do a detailed analysis of the background of the VC fund. Are they very strong digitally? Do they have operating experience? So that is what you need to look for. Don't just look at valuations of what these investors offer. There might be an investor who might be willing to offer you, a bigger amount and then take 70% of a shareholding, and really want to take over the company and kick the promoter out. So those kind of investors are really not the what is required. So you need to have a professional investor who will stay invested in a company, who is not going to involve in day-to-day operations of the company, who will probably be part of the board and then support you when there is required, who can help you run a professional company, I think built with the good board practices, have strong accounting mechanism in place, having proper SOPs defined for marketing, HR, operations. So that kind of a value creation is what you need to expect from the investors. You need to look at onboarding those kind of investors. Even though those investors offer you lesser valuation, you need to prefer at onboarding those kind of investors.
I think questions.
No more questions, sir. No more questions.
So thank you, sir. Thank you so much for our excellent presentation. We chartered account usually will play with the numbers and rules and regulations, figures. So now program of this nature is very useful and the eye opener for chartered accounts to guide the clients and extend our one more services for our fold. So thank you so much for the Tamil Nadu government, particularly for taking a lot of steps to promote startup and our team. Once again, thank you so much, Zaisa, for our excellent presentation. Thank you so much for the SIRC team and technical team and Mr. Raghuman for coordinating this program in a very, very excellent way for this organizing the program. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the great opportunity.
Thank you, Jalabadi sir. Thank you, Rahman. Thank you all members of SIRC. It was a great opportunity. Thanks for giving the opportunity to interact. So I've shared my details. So if you have any interesting companies, please do email them. We are happy to support them in all forms of fundraising mode. I will also share the recent campaign where we have floated in social media. If you have companies in this space, please also encourage them to apply. We are here to support the all forms of companies, both SMEs, startups, as well as growth stage companies also. Any not only in terms of funding support, we have also market access support. So I'll also share an ONDC market access opportunity, which is an opportunity where you can sell your products online and go digital and go pan-India. These two initiatives must be of great help to you. I once again thank the SIRC team for really giving this opportunity to discuss about the investment ecosystem. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Rahman.
you.
Thank you, Jabal sir.
On behalf of SIRC of ICAI also, I would like to thank Sai Raghunathan sir and immediate past chairman Jalabadi sir for sparing your valuable time and presence here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.